the years, no one knows just how hard you work.
Oh, he didn't need to do that. He threw it away.
It's all on the
Anything is possible.
shining moment. They're frozen in time.
Do you believe it? A 16 beats a 1.
And the world in the blinking of an eye. That moment's gone, and when it's done, win or lose, you always did your best. 'Cause inside you knew that in one shining moment you reached deep inside. One shining moment you knew. Feel the beat of your heart, feel the wind in your face. It's more than a contest, it's more.
The biggest win in Hurricane Hoops history. Miami heading to the Final Four. 2 seconds. San Diego State is going to the Final Four.
It's done. Win you always did your best.
There's no other team going to the Final Four than UConn.
In one shining moment, you reach for the sky. In one shining moment, you knew.
A San Diego State miracle. Miami, just no match for the Husky Express. The journey, it ends right here.
One shining moment.
Yes. Hurley and the Huskies have their dreams come true.
All right, everybody. Unhappy Wednesday to all of you. Coming to you live from my compound here. This is the Unhappy Gilmore Show, powered by Green Legion Radio and part of the Green Legion Radio family. We thank you for joining us tonight from wherever you may be and whatever service you're using to tune in. So please pull up a chair, turn up the volume, use the company dime if you're still stuck at work, and let's try to have some fun here as we put an end to day 3 of this week's hostage situation. Well, maybe, day 3, but day 4 might be the end of it, right? Anyways, look forward to tomorrow, Friday Eve, or today could be the end of the week for everybody. Just depends on where you're working. I actually have physical therapy tomorrow morning. I'm surprised they're still open. But I am off tomorrow. I hope a lot of you are off tomorrow. No, I am not going to apologize for the opening video. I saw Mike, who's in English over here. Mike English, at what time, Mark, will we not talk about UConn? Then I'm in. Well, brother, if that's what you're looking for, it's going to be a long night for you because we are going to talk Huskies, man. I am over the moon about what happened on Monday night, just really the whole tournament in general. But we'll get to that, of course. So what's up, English? Chucky, how we doing? Way to represent the Big East. Damn straight, my friend. Lou Dominguez joins us on YouTube. Love it. Nothing captures the thrill of victory and agony of defeat like one shining moment. There is no doubt about it. Chuck, again, welcome to the Champions Circle with me, brother. UConn NCAA champ and my UGA Bulldogs back-to-back champs. Yeah, man. Big year. Back-to-back champs for the Bulldogs. Dude, and is that train going to slow down? I mean, they're the new Bama. My God. Keenan Hardman, what's up, my friend? What happened to Marquette, Alabama, Texas, and the Zags? Not one team alive in the last weekend. That's a first for my dumb ass. Glad I only contributed $10 this year. Well, us as a family, we contributed $60 and came away with nothing. But did come away with UConn's 5th overall championship. Very happy to have that. So, as usual, just a couple of things. Folks, if you're tuning in on Facebook or Twitter, please do not forget to like, follow, share, and subscribe to the Green Legion. If those services are where you're comfortable, we totally get it. But the YouTube channel is the best way to view and listen and comment on any Green Legion radio show. So please do us a solid. Even if you're on your other social media platforms, head on over to YouTube, search the Green Legion, click that subscribe, click your little bell for notifications, and join us there whenever you get the opportunity. If you cannot watch our shows live, that's okay too. You can always catch us later on, recorded via Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Again, Green Legion RSVPs are being accepted. Early bird RSVPs being accepted for all 2023 road trips right now. So it's $150 a person to reserve your spot. Kansas City, the full trip is out, so that's not an early bird thing. But everywhere else, Los Angeles, it's Tampa Bay, Seattle, New England, if that's your thing. I don't know how he's going to work that one. That might be another bus thing too. That's a long bus ride from Philly, though. And going up to Gillette Stadium, from what I understand, it's still just one way in and one way out. So that's a miserable experience. But anyways, get your deposits in if you want to travel. If you're looking at Kansas City, I suggest hopping on that train as quick as possible. Do not think you're going to be able to wait till August and just be able to jump on in. The schedule for the NFL should be out in about a month, and that's when you're going to know, right? Like when the games are. Of course, Quimby and the staff at the Green Legion went ahead and just assume that first game of the year at Kansas City is going to be that Thursday night opener. We'll see how that works out. If it is, you might see me and a couple of people from my crew out there. But as always with me, it depends on, Halloween, Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's, blah, 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 blah. Michelle and I do have our deposit in for Los Angeles. So Dan Leonardo, if you're out there and you're listening, get ready, brother. As long as the date works out, the unhappy brigade will be headed your way. Looking forward to that. Hopefully that date works out. Also, we are on the eve of Bud Light Baseball Brunch with Greg Murphy and Chris Sack returning. It should be tomorrow from 11 a.m. to noon from the Green Legion Phillies opening day tailgate at 1100 Social Xfinity Live. This will also air, of course, on 102.5 Fox Sports The Gambler and the iHeartRadio app. Make sure you tune in for that if you can, and all season long, do the best you can to catch Murph and Sack for the best damn Phillies talk out there. Again, you guys know I'm not a Phillies fan. I support you guys. I very much enjoy listening to that show. As for this show, we are going to be here at the compound for at least the next few weeks. Next week, we're hoping to bring in a guest that I think you'll all enjoy. Now, it will be baseball, a lot of baseball-related stuff with him. But it's not like just, where a hitter should, why this guy should bat second, or, how come he threw a 3-2 breaking ball or whatever. This is more from a ballpark chasing standpoint and the program that this gentleman has put together. I'm not going to give away too much spoilers. I'm hoping he can join us next week. He says he'd like to be on next Wednesday. So I sent him a message last night, just waiting on an email address so I can start talking to him. Hopefully that comes around. In 2 weeks, we will move this show from Wednesday night to Friday night. That is to accommodate a choir thing that my daughter has on the Wednesday night. So we're going to move to Friday and hopefully do another unhappy hour type of show. I think Russ Taylor hung with us last time for 4 hours, me and Fito. I don't see that one going that far again, but we'll see how many beers get drank and how much fun we're having. Anyways, where else are we at here? Yeah, so that'll be, instead of Wednesday the 19th, it'll be Friday the 21st. Same time slot, 6, maybe 7 if I have someone come on, if Fito can come on and needs an extra hour. But we'll have a good time, like we always try to do on here, try to be entertaining for you guys. So, back over to the room. I know you guys have been going, Chucky, go Dogs. Yeah, dude, look, I'm not a Georgia fan, but my God. Lou Mancini in the room over on YouTube. Adam, I can use my right hand again. Nice. Keenan Harmon, LA, baby. Come on, Lou. Dispensaries and the Peterson Automobile Museum. Dude, I'm telling you, hop on, man. LA is the trip. Chucky just announced Phillies game postponed until 3 p.m. Friday. That is a bummer. I mean, stuff's going to happen, especially this time of year up in the Northeast. Even out here in the Midwest, we've got wicked storms going on outside right now. But when it's your opener, when it's your home opener, you look forward to that. You bank on that day. You want to go down. You want to have a good time. And then for weather to come in and mess it up, push it out a day like that really, really stinks. So I'm sorry, guys. That's a bummer. Hey, look, when I still lived back in Connecticut, I had season tickets in the right field bleachers. The Yankees used to go to opening day every year. And, I mean, one year it was a night game against Boston. It was like 40 degrees, miserable. It is what it is. Keenan again, Lou, it's only money. Spend it while you're alive. Hey, he's got a point. You can't take the shit with you, right, guys? Have a good time while you can. So, anyways, moving on here. When we talked last week, I did mention that we were doing round 5 of the Gilmore family cook-off. Right? I know some of you like to hear this stuff. The theme was game day food. We had opening weekend for the Yankees. Well, there I go. We had opening weekend for baseball, and you had the Final Four and everything. So we did game day food. And, just because football wasn't going on doesn't mean it couldn't be football-related food, buffalo wings, chili, whatever. So Michelle did pizza dip with baguette sliced up. I actually found a bag of pre-sliced baguette. Probably should have gotten the fresh, but it's still really good. My son Liam participated again. He made cheeseburgers on Krispy Kreme glazed donuts, which were awesome. But I think if we do that again, we're probably going to have to find some thicker donuts because the regular Krispy Kreme glazed is just too thin. And he had pretzel bites with queso dip as his side. I went with cheddar chili dogs and sweet potato fries with some Cajun dip. And, the voters all loved Liam's pretzel bites, and there was not much not to love. Those things were awesome. We were taking them and actually ended up dipping them in Michelle's pizza dip, which made it even better. So everyone loved the pretzel bites, but it was Dad's cheddar chili dogs that won the day. Keep in mind, though, that chili, it was specifically meant as hot dog chili, even though I just ate a bowl of it to finish off what was left, so it didn't go bad. But the special ingredient, you take a pound of bacon and chop it up into 1/4-inch pieces and cook that up first, then cook the meat in that grease, and then start adding everything else in. Oh, yeah, it was heavenly. Nice fresh sliced cheddar melted over the top of it, toasted up in the oven. And then the sweet potato fries, I should have done them in the air fryer when I first started trying to do them in the oven. I think I cut them too thick. It was a little difficult, but the dip was really good. So anyways. So that puts us, we've gone through 5 rounds, and Michelle and I have tied twice. Liam's won once, and I've now won twice. Our next one we're going to do is going to be in, 3.5 weeks, and we're going to do sandwiches, right? Just sandwiches. And that includes, it could be, anything from a Philly cheesesteak or a meatball grinder to, a breakfast sandwich, a big old fat ass bacon, egg, and cheese or something. So we'll have to. My daughter actually wants to participate this time too. So we'll see how that goes. And then we're going to do another one 4th of July weekend, and we're going to do barbecue food with that, like cookout food, barbecue or grill or, whatever. And I've already got some ideas for that one. So looking forward for that stuff. One thing we did find out this go around is that everyone needed the oven at the same time. My wife, her pizza dip had to cook up in the oven. I needed the oven for the sweet potato fries, which was another reason why I should have gone to the air fryer. And Liam had to, Liam needed the oven for his pretzel bites. So that got a little tricky, but we'll figure it out a little better on the next go around. All right. That's the update from here. Oh, one more thing for the Midwest Eagles Nest. Thank you all again for whoever's listening to the show now or later. For any of you that participated in our NCAA tournament pool, a coworker of mine actually won first place, and that paid out $200. And then second place went to Roger, who is a member of our Midwest Eagles Nest. Good dude. And he took home second place, and that was $80. And that was at the expense of UConn winning the whole thing. Had UConn not made it to the championship game, I looked at the what would have happened and the point total tiebreakers, and Michelle my wife would have taken first and second place. We would have walked away with the whole shebang. So, oh well. Hey, as the show opened, and as you can see, I am in no way, shape, or form complaining. Who do we got over here? Fito Mata in the room. Go UConn. That's right, my brother. Let's go Huskies. And we're going to get to them right after we do the boner of the week. Keenan says, Fito, loved your road trip. Absolutely, man. I thought, we talked on the phone before you were going. I thought it was a great, great thing that you guys did that. And certainly what Nate would have definitely wanted to happen. Too bad Austin, Texas doesn't have any professional sports, because if they were doing an Eagles invasion there, I'd be so in. Austin is a blast. That's whatever. It's what I keep hearing. Austin and Nashville, kind of, your two kind of it cities. So, all right. Before I get to the boner of the week, let's do this. Before I forget again, and before you guys forget to remind me again. Yeah, I think you guys don't remind me because you don't want to hop in here. There's the link if anybody would like to join in. I know Fito's in the room. I don't know if he's available, but that is entirely up to him. But we are going to move to the boner of the week for this week. Look, we have fun with this pretty much every week. Some weeks it's easier to identify than others. There's been a couple where it was like day of and I had to go find something. I like to have fun with it. This past week was absolutely no exception for as far as making it obvious. Anthony Rendon. Yeah, have you guys heard about this clown? Right, this is the guy. This is the guy with the Anaheim Angels that grabbed the Oakland A's fan and tried to swipe at him after he, basically called him a bitch. Yeah, you, sir, wear the badge of honor this week of being the boner of the week. After 3 huge seasons, and you talk boner of the week for what he just did, but it goes way deeper with Rendon, right? And just in case anybody needed to know, Keenan listens to the show naked. So maybe you're the boner of the week. I hope you're not the actual boner of the week. Keep that to yourself. But Rendon. So this goes well beyond just the incident with the A's, right, with the A's fan. So he has 3 big seasons, right, in his final few years with the Washington Nationals. He signs a 7-year, $245 million contract with the Angels, right? So his last 3 years in D.C., you'll see why he was getting all that money. So keep in mind, at the end of this is a World Series trophy. 2017, he bats .301, .403 on base percentage, .937 OPS, 25 homers, 100 RBIs, 41 doubles. Yikes. 2018, .308, .374 on base percentage, .909 OPS, 24 homers, 92 RBIs, leads the league with 44 doubles. 2019, his final year with the Nationals, a year in which they won the World Series over the Houston Astros. He bats .319 with a .412 on base percentage, a .1010 OPS, 34 homers, 126 RBI, leads the league again with 44 doubles, is third in the MVP voting, is an all-star, and a World Series winner. So when the Angels gave him that big contract, it was like, holy shit. They're going to put this guy in a lineup next to Mike Trout? Oh, my God, what's going to happen? Well, the answer is not a whole hell of a lot. Not a whole hell of a lot happened. So he starts the 2020 campaign. I think he was like 0 for his first 23 or 28. This season's shortened because of the coronavirus, so I don't want to get into too much of his overall. But he batted .286, .418 on base percentage, 9 homers, 31 RBIs in just 52 games, even after that slow start. So you're thinking, hey, little pressure with the contract. He struggled out of the gates because of it. and, righted the ship, and, the contract's going to work out. Well, since then, he's been a total disaster. In 2021 and 2022 combined, he played in just 105 games with 11 homers, 58 RBIs, and a 235 batting average. Overall with the Angels, he's played in 159 games, basically a full season. He's batted .249, a .359 on base percentage, .772 OPS, 20 homers, 90 RBIs. Now, the 20 and 90 is not bad for a full season, but that's not what they gave him 7 years and $245 million for. And keep in mind, half of those homers and a third of those RBIs came in the first 52 games. So he has another 150. Yeah, another 107 games for the rest of those numbers. It's not good. And then you throw in his timeline of events. So let's start in 2021, shall we? And this douchebag deserves all of the smoke he's getting right now. April of 2021, misses 10 days with a groin strain. May of 2021, misses 10 days with a knee contusion. July of 2021, misses 10 more days with a hamstring strain. August of 2021, his season ends as he has surgery to repair a hip impingement. So the whole year is a wash. June of 2022, he has surgery on his wrist, expected to miss the rest of the season. Also in June of 2022, he's part of now this is after, keep in mind, what I'm about to tell you happened after he was expected to miss the rest of the season with a wrist injury. Later that month, he's part of a bench-clearing brawl where he decked Jesse Winker, albeit with the not injured hand, and received a 5-game suspension. In September of 2022, he did return to the lineup later that year unexpectedly, the final 3 games. Right? What good was going to come from that? And now here we are, March of 2023. This idiot grabs an A's fan and attempted to slap him. Major League Baseball, the Angels and the police investigated or still investigating. In the meantime, he has been fined. I did not look up the exact amount. And he's been suspended for 5 more games. So 7 years, $245 million. And this guy has been nothing short of an absolute disaster. That contract is a wreck. It is, it's just more indicative of, part of baseball's problem is all this money's guaranteed. Whether you defer it down the road like the Mets do with Bobby Bonilla or the Reds did with Ken Griffey Jr., they're still getting their money, right? So you have to pay this guy that, and you're getting nothing out of him but injuries, fights on the field, fights with fans now. Look, I'm not condoning fans that go too far. We all know it happens. We've probably all seen it happen. Heckling, booing a guy, calling him a bum, whatever. That stuff's natural, right? Some of these fans do go over the top. Now, I have not read enough into this to see what exactly he might or might not be accusing of what this fan was saying. But I've seen guys get racial. I've seen guys talk about, people's kids and shit like that. I don't know that that's what happened here. But if you're doing that kind of thing, these are professional athletes. And if you get up close to one of them, you can tell why they're professional athletes. Any one of them is in, when compared to your average fan, like most of you guys, me, and whoever else, they would tie us into a pretzel, right? Now, you might be able to throw hands a little better, but, the minute the guy grabs a hold of you, it's over. Like, that guy, he grabbed that A's fan, and that A's fan is trying to pull, and there was nowhere he could go. So, again, I don't know what the fan said. If it wasn't anything too over the top, if it was just Rendon being a hothead, as, look at his freaking history here, then Rendon's got no. I mean, grabbing somebody's never going to solve it. But if somebody started calling him some sort of racial epithet or something like that, I mean, look, there's only so much these guys are going to take before you're going to have to answer, right? Like you step out from behind the keyboard and all of a sudden things change. What the fuck is going on with my camera here? That's a little better. So yeah. Well, that's your boner of the week. I mean, I just gave you a timeline of the last 3 years of all of his injury stuff and lackluster play, not being available, fighting other, to get into a bench clearing brawl on the field after it's already been announced that you're going to miss the rest of the year to have surgery on your wrist. That's a pretty high level of stupid, in my opinion. So for this latest event, he's the boner of the week. Overall, my God, what a disaster. And that's why you, sir, are the boner of the week. What are you guys talking about over here? David Conant in the room. How you doing, my friend? If I were the fan, I would have said, if the shoe fits, Cinderella. He said the fan called him a bitch. Well, look, if that's all it takes to get you to go grabbing people, maybe maybe you shouldn't play ball anymore, man. Because that's really, you should be able to just look at the guy, laugh, and walk away. You really should. Because if that guy hops down and goes face to face, he's not face to face calling Rendon a bitch. I can almost assuredly guarantee that's not going to happen. So for some guy half cocked in the crowd, you're a bitch. You know what, man? Just look at him. Maybe flip him off if that's if you can't control yourself. Just right and just walk away. So that's where I'm at with Rendon. Like if that's all it was, then you've lived up to the title of boner of the week, buddy. That's just who you are. Anyways, the moment you've all been waiting for. I know that Lou Mancini. Perfect. Suck it up, Buttercup. Right. You're a professional athlete. You're in the limelight, dude. You're on a team that has arguably the two biggest stars in the sport, the two most talented players in the sport, and they can't win shit. And you signed a 7-year, $245 million contract there, and you've been a bum. Right? You got nobody to blame but yourself. So if somebody calls you a bitch, you might want to let that roll off. Just, a suggestion for you. Right? As Quimby would say, no disrespect. Anyways, let's get to Mike English's favorite part of the show. I think we opened with English was saying, at what time mark will we not talk about UConn? Then I'm in. Well, I didn't talk about UConn for pretty much all of the first half an hour. And now here we are. But let's start with just the tournament overall, right? We talked last week about what this tournament gave us and how entertaining it had been. You had upsets all over the place. You had the great Cinderella story with FAU making the Final Four. You had shockers, right, where you Furman in the opening game knock off Virginia on a wild inbound steal. I mean, when you watch the whole tournament, and I just inhale as much of this tournament as I can. That's why I think some of you have seen the pictures on Facebook. I've got the 3 TVs in my front room. That setup is I put that in there specifically for this. Now I get more benefit out of it because I can play Grand Theft Auto. I can have the Yankees on and the Phillies on all at the same time. I get or 3 baseball games or whatever. But I really initially set it up for the NCAA tournament. And you name it, this year's tournament, we got it. It was all over the place. Wildly entertaining tournament. The first time that we've ever had an Elite 8 that did not have a number 1 seed make it there. Lou Mancini, thank you. Princeton in the first round, absolutely. Purdue, like we talked about, we gave the boner of the week to Matt Painter a couple of weeks ago for getting knocked out by a 16 seed in what everybody's considering the biggest, the biggest upset in the history of the tournament. just everything about this year's tournament was just so much fun to watch. And I know there are some people out there that are Debbie Downer, and they're like, I don't want to watch a Final Four without a blue blood in it. Well, I think you might have to get used to that sort of thing, guys. The transfer portal has changed everything. These guys who get recruited to Kentucky or North Carolina or Duke, Indiana, places like a UConn, places like that, Villanova, but they can't crack the starting line. They're good enough to play, but can't crack the starting lineup. They're just going to transfer out. I'm not saying it's all the way a good thing, and I do think there's probably needs to be some control around it, but I do think it helps to level out the playing field. And I think what you saw in this year's tournament was a direct reflection of that. And if it means we're going to get more 4 seeds, 5 seeds, maybe another 9 seed, some more upsets in the first couple of rounds, dude, I'm all for it, right? I say that a little bit tongue-in-cheek because everybody's all for upsets unless it happens to your team, right? Like if UConn had gotten picked off by, in the first round by Iona, I would have been pissed. But thankfully that didn't happen. But yeah, I mean, if you could sit down and watch this tournament and not enjoy it and enjoy the storylines and the Cinderellas and everything that went into it, then you probably shouldn't watch the tournament. This was very, very entertaining. And, of course, for me, I'm still flying on cloud nine. Some of you have seen me post a picture of myself. That was the night we played Gonzaga. Or, I'm sorry, that was the night we destroyed Gonzaga. And that's been basically that picture of me, has been my default response to pretty much everything since Saturday night. And it's just been a blast soaking it all up, being a fan for that long a period of time. David Conant couldn't beat out another player. You should sit a year. And that's what they used to do. You transfer, you had to sit, and then you could come back out. And they changed all that. So it's all different now. Vito Mata, the Gilmore Situation Room. Need to get you a 5-channel, 300-watt surround system. No, what's going to happen, brother, is where you've seen that setup, there's the big screen right in the middle. To the other side, and then the tower with the 2 TVs. To the other side is a couple of Lego tables that my sons really aren't playing with anymore. So as soon as I'm not selling them, I want to hang on to them. But I'm trying to talk my mother-in-law into let me use some storage space in her basement. When I move those out, I'm likely going to put another tower in that corner with 2 more TVs stacked on it, and I'll have 5 screens. So at that point, I could literally play Grand Theft Auto and have all 4 channels of the NCAA tournament on either side. I may never leave the front living room again. Lou Dominguez agreed, but this talk of expanding, no. Lou, you are spot on, my friend. I want nothing to do with expansion. I don't even like the first 4. Okay, the Tuesday, Wednesday games, I don't even like those. Cut that crap out. Or if you're going to do it, then it's just 16 seeds. I don't like that there's a play-in for an 11 seed, right? It's just odd. When they first started doing it, they were all 16s. And then they changed it, and I don't like it. 64 is the number. The tournament is perfect. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. It is far and away, in my opinion anyways, the best season in all of sports. Okay? Now, the hardest one to get into is baseball. And of course, they've changed some of that now and making it a little easier. Basketball is ridiculous, where the number 10 in each conference has a chance to keep it. It's nuts to me. I think hockey goes a little too deep. Baseball is very tough. For the postseason, but that NCAA tournament, man, and I get it, 64 teams, but when you look at that compared to the number of actual schools, I don't It's the best. One thing you could do with that first four before we move into UConn here, one thing you could do with the first four, when you get to some of the, especially the mid-majors, so you have their regular season champ, right? And then some upstart in the conference tournament picks them off, right? And you get some upstart team that gets the automatic bid. Well, what if you took the regular season champs from some of these conferences, and if you're going to do the play-in, let those teams play to get into the tournament, right? Like, I don't know. Think of any example you want, but that's one way you could go. I don't know. I just overall, I'm just start the fucking thing on Thursday and let's roll, baby. Like I don't need Tuesday night, Wednesday night. I think they're trying to milk it too much with that stuff. I mean, look, people watch it and everything, but I mean, even your bracket pools, they don't even really, like the one we did this year, didn't even consider it. It was just, you're either picking the 6th seed or the winner of the play-in. They didn't even care who the hell it was. So, anyways, right back over here for just a minute. Keenan Harmon, I've always enjoyed the tourney since forever. The kids all ball out, unlike the divas in the program. 100%, my brother. It is about school pride. It is about heart. For a lot of these guys, don't get me wrong, you're one and done guys. They know they're going pro and whatever. But for most of these guys, this might be this might be the highest level of basketball they play, and they are letting it all hang out, man. It's just awesome to watch. Lou Mancini, that's like the NFL wanting to flex to Thursdays. Yeah, thank God that got shot down. What a disaster that is. We'll talk that probably in about a month when the schedule comes out. We'll start looking at that sort of thing. David Conant, it's the worst automatic qualifiers and the worst at-large bids. Yeah, I get it. But, I mean, how though? Because the 11 seeds are, 2 of those games are, they get in as an 11. Or like one's an 11 and one's a 12 and one's a 2 or 16s. Look, they lose me a little bit with that one, but overall, like I said, it's the best postseason in sports. So we'll post this again here in case anybody wants to jump in. I am jumping into UConn. So we talked about the tournament. We talked about the Cinderellas, the shockers, the upsets. You name it, we got it. But to put a bow on this year's tournament, well, we're just going to concentrate on the champs, right? Your UConn Huskies. The 5th title in the program's history. The 5th title, won their first one in the 98-99 season. So it's 5 titles in 24 years. Pretty impressive. Puts us tied with Duke and Indiana for the most titles, right? 5th title in the last 24 years and with 3 different coaches. Of course, it all starts with Jimmy Calhoun, right? He wins the title in the 98-99, 03 and 04. And the 2010-2011 season. Was the coach of the Huskies from 1986 through 2012, posting a 625 and 243 overall record, 276 and 163 in Big East play. Overall for his coaching career, because he was at Northeastern before that, 920 and 397 for his career. 3 national championships, 4 Final Fours. 50 and 19 record in tournament play. We also won the 1988 NIT, the not invited tournament championship. And it looks like my mother tried to click on the link there. You're not connected, Ma. I can't really bring you on here. So, Jimmy Calhoun coached this school to a 10-time Big East regular season champ, 7-time Big East tournament champ. He was the AP, UPI, CBS/Chevy, and Sporting News Coach of the Year in 1990. 4-time Big East Coach of the Year, made the Basketball Hall of Fame in 2005. College Basketball Hall of Fame in 2006, which was celebrated in 2022. So I remember my father telling me about Calhoun. They hired him in 86. I was only 7 years old. But I remember him telling me, You watch this press conference, and the first thing he said one of the first things he said, he's like, "How are you going to put this program? How are you going to build this program?" And he comes in. Clifford Robinson's already there, but how are you going to build this program? And what he said was, if we can get the homegrown talent in state to stay home, we'll compete in just a few years. And it wasn't but just a few years after that, he landed Chris Smith. Chris Smith was a kid who was recruited by all of your blue bloods, your Kentuckys, your North Carolinas, your Dukes, your Indianas, your UCLA. Recruited all of it, and he decided to stay at Connecticut. He decided to stay home. And it came out from there. Danielle Marshall, Donnie and Danielle Marshall, Tate George, Scotty Burrell, Hennefeld. Later on, you go to Ray Allen, and then Rip Hamilton, and Emeka Okafor. And now this year, Adama Sanogo, and Rudy Gay is in the mix there. The list of these, what he built there, absolutely incredible. So he retires after the 2012-2013 season and hands it off to Kevin Ollie, right, who he had groomed to be his successor. Coach Calhoun, for a guy who was as brilliant of a head coach, he couldn't have been further off the mark with Kevin Ollie. This turned into a disaster. Now, they do win the 2013-2014 national championship over Kentucky as I think it was as a 7th seed. I remember being home, and it was against Kentucky. Now, here I live in Southwest Ohio. There's a lot of Kentucky here, a lot of Kentucky fans here. Lexington's only an hour and a half away, hour and 40 minutes away. And so there's a lot of, go Big Blue. And when we beat Kentucky, I remember just screaming, yeah, and scared the ever-loving shit out of my daughter, who was not quite a year old at the time. She started screaming, crying. Good memories, great parenting. But a little skewed on that title for Ollie. Now, look, I don't want to take too much away from the guy. To his credit, he is one of only 4 African American head coaches to win a national championship, and that in itself is a really a big thing. David Califoot, what's up, guys? Work sucks. See, your Yankees are actually winning. Yeah, well, I wasn't gonna dig in on that because we just took 2 out of 3 from the Phils. So, it's early in the year. We can talk baseball in a little bit. Kevin Ollie, so 32-8 for the end title in 2014. One of only 4 African American head coaches to win a national championship. But following that season, though, he slips to 20-15, 25-11, then 16-17, then 14-18. And those victories in the final 2 years had to be vacated for violations. So the further the program got removed from Jimmy Calhoun, the worse that it got. Unfortunately for Ollie. Look, I liked Ollie as a player, right? He was part of that, that early team that I first started to fall in love with UConn. But it just didn't amount to much as a head coach. He's fired in 2018 for violations that took place under his watch. He was charged with failure to monitor his program and not promoting an atmosphere of compliance. UConn lost 1 scholarship for the 2019-2020 class, was put on 2 years probation and fined $5,000. The program had to vacate the victories from the final 2 years, where an ineligible player participated during his final 2 seasons. Ollie was charged with 3 level 1 violations stemming from summer pickup games, a video coordinator engaging in impermissible instruction, and a booster providing extra benefits to student athletes, be it, private training, lodging, meals, transportation, what have you. In other words, Kevin Ollie turned this thing into a giant mess. Everything that Jimmy Calhoun had built, Kevin Ollie destroyed. And the program was down in the shitter. We needed someone with fresh eyes. I'm telling you all this so that you can see where this school had to come back from after 4 championships in what was like a 15-year stretch. It all went to pieces. That's why I'm telling you all this. So what we needed was a guy who could rebuild the program. Enter Danny Hurley. Now, I will tell you, first and foremost, as a college basketball fan who hates Duke, it is very strange for me to root for a guy with the last name of Hurley. And that's because of Bobby Hurley, who was the point guard on those Duke teams that had Christian Laettner. And I still hate Christian Laettner. My friend Sam Cohen loves Christian Laettner. I couldn't stand the guy. So Danny Hurley comes in, and he was known as a program builder. Hired to do just that, starting with the 2018-2019 season. Mind you, he had to come in and start trying to rebuild this program while still dealing with with lost scholarship and fines from the Kevin Ollie era. Okay, so keep that in mind. Prior to being at UConn, he had 2 years at Wagner. His first year, he's 13-17. Second year, 25-6. Goes to Rhode Island, 8-21 in his first year. Grows that program to back-to-back NCAA tournament appearances, going 25-10 and 26-8 respectively in his last 2 years at Rhode Island. I mean, he was just what the doctor ordered for UConn. So now he's just completed his 5th year with the Huskies. His first year, he's 16-18 in the 2018-2019 season. Then moves to 19-12 the following season. In the Rona shortened season of 20-21, he goes 15-8 and knocked out in the first round of the NCAA tournament. 21-22 gets the program to 23-10, but again knocked out in the first round. So, on top of all of the bad that had to be washed out and the program kind of restarted and rebuilt, when you lose a guy like Calhoun, you knew you were going to take a step back, but to have the whole thing get destroyed, it's like, my God, are we ever going to be, what we were, anything close to what we were? Is it going to be, or is this just going to be that team that, hey, man, we'll talk about the glory years when we're 80 because those were the only glory years we had. Well, on top of all that, now coming into this year, there was the pressure of, okay, you've rebuilt the program. We're back to being a good team, but you've not won a tournament game yet. And you really faced, especially in the 21-22 season, you faced some lesser competition. And you still lost. Enter this year's tournament. Guides UConn to a 31-8 record this season, right? But again, there was that pressure. Dude, you got to start winning some tournament games. I'd say mission accomplished, okay? 6-0 and cut down the nets. The 5th title overall for this program, again, puts us tied with Duke and Indiana. Of course, UCLA has the most with 11. Kentucky has 8. North Carolina with 6. However, since winning our first title in the 98-99 season, we've got 5. Duke and North Carolina each have 3. Kansas, Nova, and Florida each have 2. So I really would dare someone to try to tell me again how UConn hasn't earned a spot as a blue blood. Okay? Go back to 1990 when we were the 1 seed in the East. You're talking 33 years, albeit the Kevin Ollie years were bad. But you're talking 33 years where UConn, for the most part, has been somewhat of a household name. And how about the dominant performance this year? The average margin of victory in the 6 games was by 20. Adama Sanogo is the most outstanding player. He put up 20 and 10 per game. 20 points, 10 rebounds. I think it was 19.7 points and 10 rebounds per game. Down by 6. So they had that huge lead over San Diego State. And then all of a sudden, San Diego State starts to creep back. And the lead gets trimmed down to 6. And who's right there with the big layup? It's Sanogo, right? Back up by 8. Jordan Hawkins, absolutely deadly from the outside. Again, San Diego State trims that damn thing down to 5. Who was there with the dagger 3-pointer? Hawk. This Huskies team did not lose a game to a team outside of the Big East all season long, of course, including the NCAA tournament. 31-8 overall, 7 regular season losses, and the loss to Marquette in the Big East tournament. We did go through that stretch in January, which is why I did not pick UConn to win the whole thing. I actually had them losing to Kansas in the Sweet 16. Reason being, this stretch right here. Stretch versus the conference where we lost 6 of 8, looked bad in doing so, right? We would go through these scoring droughts that were just horrific. You're talking 5, 6, 7 minutes where you'd scored nothing or 2 or 4 points. They just looked brutal. And I thought that Sweet 16 matchup, I assumed it would be against Kansas. I thought Kansas was going to be too much for UConn. Now, as it turns out, Kansas ends up there without Bill Self. And I don't know if any of you guys watched, but they looked lost without Bill Self on their bench. So they get picked off by Arkansas, which is what I call Arkansas. Arkansas. And then UConn goes ahead and just dismantles Arkansas, which was beautiful. So that's why I didn't pick him to win the whole thing. But Danny Hurley, I guess he's been giving people shit. I don't want to be called Danny. He wants to be called Dan. So Dan Hurley, he's only 50 years old, has rebuilt this program after that mess that Ollie made, and has us poised to contend constantly. So, of course, what's the natural question? Can you repeat? We all know it's tough to repeat in any sport. Look at baseball. The last repeat champion is the 98, 99, and 2000 Yankees. The NCAA tournament, I think the last repeat is Florida. Back in it was 06 and 07 or 07, 08, something like that. That tournament with its propensity for upsets and guys playing over their skis and just people getting picked off, really, really hard to repeat. We're also going to lose guys. Sanogo's likely going pro, right? I don't know what else that guy's got to prove. He was the preseason Big East Player of the Year. He was an all Big East first team at the end of the season, and he's the most outstanding player of the Final Four. Now, at 6'9", he's not going to play center in the NBA, so he's going to have to probably work on a little bit more of the mid-range jumper. But at the collegiate level, I don't know what else he has. Don't get me wrong; I'd love for him to come back for his senior year. I just don't see it happen. Jordan Hawkins is a sophomore. He could probably bulk up a little bit, but he's already got the shot. Quick release. He could be an assassin off a bench for somebody in the NBA. Andre Jackson Jr., probably the best athlete on the floor anytime he steps onto it. Got a lot of Draymond Green type of qualities to him. Not a great shooter. If anybody's seen him take a shot, you know exactly what I'm talking about. His form is not good, but he does everything else. His basketball IQ is off the charts. He can jump out of the gym. He runs like a deer. He has great vision with his passing. He rebounds well. So, a little bit, I think he's 6'6", so not quite as tall as Draymond, but those type of qualities and a better athlete than Draymond. But we're also going to return Caravan, who at 6'9" has a very nice shot from the wing. Klingon, the luxury of a 7'2" freshman center when Sanogo needs a breather, right? There's a lot of talk that he should go pro as a rim protector, but I think these two guys, come back and really hone their game a little bit more. We've also got the number 3 recruiting class coming in. Add in the transfer portal, and I would tell you anything's possible here. Just take a look at this tournament as an example. We had the kid Paisan. The hell was his name? I can't remember his name. The little Italian kid who can hit 3-pointers. He was a transfer in. He had 6 points in the final. So as far as repeat, look, we open as a 12-1 favorite. We are the favorite to repeat next year, which, yes, I know is ridiculous to talk about. Let's hop over here again. Lou Dominguez. Yes, Lou, my favorite Husky. You happen to be a little Husky like me, Khalid El-Amin. Yeah, Khalid El-Amin. He was definitely a chubby little dude running down the floor. But, with him and Rip Hamilton, and then there was the power forward. He's only 6'7", but played power forward, was Kevin Freeman. And he's another one. Great athlete, could jump out of the gym. It's too bad he couldn't quite make it in the league. Lou Mancini says he misses Jay Wright. That said, he wouldn't have made a difference this year. Jay Wright was a great coach. He's got 2 national championships to show for it. Absolutely phenomenal coach. Lou Mancini, 2018 Nova team, won by an 18-point average. I think 20 is pretty impressive. Yeah, I mean, those Nova teams, while Wright was there, when he was really at the peak, those Nova teams were machines. Absolute machines. Keenan Hardman says, congrats, damn it. Thanks, brother. And Fito Mata, game started off rough, but Huskies prevail. Yeah, I mean, we're up by 12 at halftime. Got up by 20 in the second half. It got trimmed down to 5 and 6, and that got a little nerve-wracking after what San Diego State had done the game previous. But, when it all came down to it, San Diego State's a nice story. A nice history with Tony Gwynn there and Kawhi Leonard as obviously their best player ever, only retired number they have. And a nice comeback win over FAU. But, guys, you Aztecs, you were not playing FAU. You were playing the top dog, UConn Huskies. So there it is. That's my send-off for the NCAA tournament. David Conant, just FYI, the Rays, the only undefeated team left in MLB. Yeah, I'm real concerned about it 6 games in. Look, just to touch on baseball real quick before I close the show with actually some golf that I find interesting. To touch on baseball real quick, you're 2 series into the season, all right? I'm bummed out for you guys there in Philly that your home opener is getting rained out and getting pushed out a day. I know a lot of people plan to be there, and then it gets pushed out a day. It's a giant pain in the ass. The Phillies are struggling out of the gates, right? What are you, 1-4 coming out of the gates here, or 1-5? I mean, look, rough opening weekend against Texas. You smack around DeGrom last Friday night, last Thursday night. You got Texas right where you want them, and then the wheels come off. You get shelled. And then Saturday, I don't know what the hell happened there. Managed to kick a field goal and lose 16-3. And then Sunday, they outdueled you 2-1. And what's your reward for struggling out of the gates? You ended up having to come to the Bronx. Look, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that the Yankees are some juggernaut that were, that were head and shoulders better than the Phillies or anything. But you guys are obviously struggling out of the gates. And your reward for that is to come play the Yankees in the Bronx? I probably could have told you going into this 3-game set that we were going to take 2 out of 3 from you. It's just the way both teams are playing right now. We all know that baseball is a long season. Don't get me wrong. I'm happy the Yankees have won their first 2 series. Took 2 out of 3 from the Giants, who are not a good team. Took 2 out of 3 from the Phillies, who are a good team. So it's a good start, all right? And you can, you're not going to win a division or a pennant or whatever in April, but you can lose one. So it's getting off to a good start, I think, is important. Confidence-wise, everything. And I have no doubt the Phillies will right the ship. I'm not going to get hung up on 6 games. When we launched this show last year, the season had already started. And so I think I remember telling all you guys the first real pulse that you want to take that I always look at is about 40 games in, right? You're like a quarter of the way through the season. So, and that's what I would look at. Like, you get a bad start. If you end up, 21-19 or, even under 500, 19-21 after a rough start, as long as you right the ship and get the ball moving the right way, I think you're fine. Trey Turner's been hitting fine, right? Schwarber bashed another one at the Bronx the other night. Castellanos has been better out of the gates this year than he was last year. I think you're going to be okay. I really do. I'm not going to get hung up on it. I'm not going to sit here and talk shit. Look, if that 3-game series had happened in September with both of us chasing pennants or whatever, I'd be up your ass sideways. But the first week of April, it's not worth talking shit about. And Keenan Harmon, oh shit, baseball and golf. What the fuck, right? But the golf thing. So it's the Masters, all right? It's Masters weekend coming. It's also Easter weekend, right? I've got Friday off. I've got physical therapy. And then I'm going to be taking my kids to go see the new Super Mario Brothers movie. Looking forward to that. But it's Masters weekend. And I will watch the big tournaments. I'll watch some of it, especially if it's tight on a Sunday, and guys are going at it. And I know we're mostly football, baseball, and some college ball here, but this really is the most prestigious tournament of the year. And this year we get a little bit of juice with it, right? Live Golf had its inaugural season in 2022 and has since, you have to be living under a rock to not know about it. They've paid huge sums of money to sign a lot of big names, PGA Tour golfers. Dustin Johnson, Phil Mickelson, Bryson DeChambeau, Brooks Koepka, Bubba Watson, and a long list of other guys. Other golfers remain loyal to the PGA and been vocal about their disdain for the folks who jumped ship. Rory McIlroy comes to mind with that, and Tiger Woods, of course, comes to mind with that. Now, what I am not going to do here, there is a lot of political shit that went into people bashing Live Golf and all that. I'm not doing that here. It's not that I'm afraid to have the conversation, but I want to have fun here with you guys. And when you start talking politics, it starts to become not as fun, right? So we're going to stick to just the sport part of it. Lou Mancini, nail on the head. I heard Tiger called Mickelson a two-shot. So now Tiger's stealing my lines too? What the hell am I going to do with that? But, so Rory has been vocal. Again, leaving the politics out of it, but let's talk about Tiger Woods. Okay, real quick here, and this is a quote. So they had offered him, he turned down some $700 or $800 million from Live Golf, right? To stay, and he chose to stay with the PGA Tour. Now, look, he's Tiger Woods. He's obviously worth hundreds of millions of dollars, but to be in a position to turn down $700 to $800 million. But here's his quote when he was asked about it. Tiger Woods says, "I disagree with others joining. I think they've turned their backs on what has allowed them to get to this position. I know what the PGA stands for and what we have done and the tour and what the tour has given us. The ability to chase after our careers, to earn what we get, and the trophies we have been able to play for, and the history that has been a part of this game." And I stand with Tiger on that one. I am not faulting these guys for going to Live Golf. I think all these athletes should go and try to make as much money as possible. I don't care what the hell sport you're in, golf, hockey, baseball, football, basketball, whatever, water polo, whatever. Go after it, get paid, because your career only lasts so long. Now, golfers, it lasts a little longer because they get the whole senior tour and shit, and they're not playing a contact sport. But I don't fault them for it. I do, however, side with the PGA. It's more about it's not about the guys leaving for money. It's more about the tradition, kind of get off my lawn type of shit. And unfortunately, some of the political stuff that goes along with it, which again, I'm not going to talk about on here. The PGA Tour, however, does not control the major tournaments, Masters included, right? The Masters decides who can participate, right? So while the PGA Tour, right at the outset, when Liv started stealing guys, PGA Tour came out and said, hey, if you go do this, you're not going to be able to come back and play on the tour, or we're going to put sanctions on you or whatever. With the majors, they can't do that. It's up to that tournament, including the Masters. So the Live golfers are going to compete this weekend against, with the PGA Tour golfers. The odds to win the tournament list a bunch of guys from both sides of that fence. Rory is second at plus 700. Dustin Johnson is 12th at plus 2,500. Cameron Smith is 7th at plus 2,200. he has the best odds right now for any live golfer. So it's obviously it's not a contact sport, right? I don't know about any of you, but I am definitely hoping for a pairing on Sunday. Like with maybe say Tiger, or maybe it's Rory and Dustin Johnson, or Rory and Cam Smith, right? Or there's been animosity, there's been some hate, there's been a look, you jumped ship, and then the other guy saying, well, look at all my money, or something like that. It's always been labeled a gentleman's sport, but this tournament with these two groups of folks out there might be the closest we get to like real trash talk. And like these guys will razz each other and they'll trash talk each other as friends. I'm talking trash talk as in like, we don't like each other type of trash talk. You all know that's a whole different level of trash talking. Of course, I don't expect any fights. I mean, this is golf. This, unfortunately, is not Happy Gilmore. It's not the NHL. I just think it would add a whole lot of fun if we got a Sunday pairing with a live golf, tied or one stroke ahead or whatever. One from the live side, one from the PGA Tour, where they had to, pair with each other and battle it out all day on Sunday. I think that would be a blast. So there's your golf, right? It wasn't a boring breakdown of freaking, Amen Corner down there at Augusta, but more so from let's see if these guys can get at each other type of shit. All right, Keenan Harmon. Golfers and race car drivers can compete forever. Teach your kids early, folks. Yeah, golf for sure, right? I said we might talk some Eagles draft, guys. I'm not going to deep dive into this yet. My stance, and I'll just give you my quick couple bullets here, and then we're going to call it a night. My stance is always going to be to take the best player available at a position of need, okay? I will never complain about getting top talent for depth in the trenches, all right? So take the best player available at a position of need or get top-tier talent in the trenches, right? That's the way I would look at it. I don't think, position of need, offensive line and defensive line should always be positions of need, right? You can't have enough talent in those spots. And I get it. The game's changed. It's a passing league. It's more finesse, blah, 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 blah. And I'm sure somewhere Diaz has that old man yells at sky meme ready to throw at me if he wants to. But just take a look at where our success last year came from. Running the ball and protecting the quarterback. Offensive line. Stuffing the run and getting after the quarterback. Defensive line. Now, I know the corner play helped a lot with getting the sacks and stuff like that, but, the trenches is really where us winning in the trenches week after week is probably the number one reason why we were successful last year. I realize it's not always that cut and dry, and I also realize our run defense was somewhat middle of the pack at the end of the year overall. But, when you get to the highest level of football, just like baseball, I still believe, highest level, I mean playoffs, Super Bowl, that sort of thing. I still believe that the games are won in their most pure form, which is, running the ball, stopping the run. You just can't win without controlling the trenches. Not at the highest level. And you saw what happened in the Super Bowl to us, right? Second half, Kansas City dominated with their offensive line. Pushed us around. Could we trade down from 10 to get a bunch of mid-round picks? Sure. And that may very well be where this goes. I don't think we're using both number one picks, both first-round picks. And it may be just a money-driven thing at that point, but we don't have a whole lot of picks in the middle of the draft. That's where you build your roster. So Howie's trading down with one or the other of both of these picks, in these first-round picks. So it's just going to depend on who they think they want to take at 10 and who's there. There's a lot of talk about Skoronski, the offensive lineman, or Carter. Carter scares me with the off-the-field stuff, and he shows up for that workout. He couldn't even get through a full workout because he was out of shape. Like, I'm not jumping for joy with that guy. I would go ahead and let him slide. It could end up being a mistake, but I would go ahead and let him slide. And finally, my last point. I don't want to hear any more about Bijan Robinson out of Texas, okay? Right now, our running back room is Rashad Penny, Kenny Gainwell, Boston Scott, and Trey Sermon. If all of these guys match their contracts for the year, we end up paying somewhere, I think it's $6.2 million total. You've got to save money somewhere. You're not going to go then take a running back at 10th overall. If that was the case, you could have just kept Miles Sanders. Okay, so all you Bijan Robinson guys, all right, Bijan, he's a world changer. Not for this team. Okay, I'm going to change the world somewhere else. Anyways, that's where I'm at with the draft right now. Believe you me, as we get closer to the draft, things start to become more clear. Rumors start to come out. You're going to see the draft start to take over more and more portion of this show as we build up to it. And then, of course, after that, you got the schedule announcement. And everybody starts getting excited about Green Legion trips and where we can go and what we can do. So hop over to the room one more time. David Conant, yeah, it could be trash talk like what's going on between Angel Reese and Joe Biden. Yeah, I'm, again, politics. Joe Biden, that apparently has been squashed anyways. The backlash she was taking for suggesting inviting Iowa and LSU to the White House after LSU beat the snot out of Iowa. Just one more participation trophy coming from the left. Anyways, but apparently that's been squashed. Anyways, I've gone on for a little over an hour now. Y'all, as always, it's been a blast. Next week, hoping to have a special guest on. I really hope it works out. I've met him a couple of times. Really good guy. I think you'll like the dialogue. I think you'll like the reason why he would be coming on. So let's keep our fingers crossed. Keep our fingers crossed for that. And until then, as always, to my usual suspects: David Conant, Keenan Harmon, Lou Mancini, Lou Dominguez, Fito Mata, David Califoot. Who else am I missing here? Mike English for dropping in. Chucky. And whoever else may or may not be listening now and or later. This has been the Unhappy Gilmore Show, powered by Green Legion Radio, part of the Green Legion Radio family. Always, thank you for joining us. And I hope you have a great week. I hope you have a very happy Easter, if that's your religion. If that's something you celebrate, enjoy with your family, with your friends, whatever you choose to do. I know we are going to have a good time here. And until next week, y'all, take care, stay healthy, have fun, be safe, and go Birds! All right, kids, we're calling it a night. Y'all take care.